Good morning, one and all. I am presenting on the topic is DCR a possible option in post-DCT patients with bothersome tearing. There is no financial disclosure. So as we all know, Dr. Goulhouse is the person who first described dactyocystectomy, which is mainly described as a novel procedure for chronic dactyocystitis. But currently, malignant tumors of lacrimal sac, in that cases only we are doing dactyocystectomy in a case of chronic dactyocystitis. But as a sad truth, it is still in practice for chronic dactyocystitis in developing countries like India, which leaves patients teary-eyed. So do you think is DCT the end of the road? So here we come up with our study to evaluate the outcome and efficacy of a modified technique called canaliculodactyocystorhinostomy in the complete absence of lacrimal sac as a mean to re-establish the lacrimal drainage in post-dactyocystectomy patients. So this is a prospective interventional study in 15 proved and established post-DCT patients who have been operated elsewhere for primary acquired nasolacrimal duct obstruction, who presented into our clinic with bothersome tearing. All patients were underwent ocular examination along with thorough lacrimal workup. Point of block was determined by measuring the common canaliculi length. So let me start with my procedure. So appropriate skin incision was placed, followed by retraction of the residual periosteum, and lacrimal fossa was entered. Adequately bony sized ostium was created by enlarging the previous ostium. So afterwards, large size anterior nasal flap was fashioned. Then we inserted the Bowman's probe into the common canaliculi and tented the common canaliculi area, and sharp dissection was carried out at the area over the tented probe. Internal membranectomy was done, followed by application of cotton tip dipped in 0.2 milligram per ml of mitomycin C, which was placed between the new canalicular opening and nasal mucosa for 3 minutes to prevent the further fibrosis. Later on, bicanalicular silicone intubation was performed and the tube was secured inside the nasal cavity with a single square knot. Nasal mucosal flap was sutured to the tissues above the created common canalicular opening and secured by broad bight of orbicularis fibers. Later on, patency was checked immediately after the surgery, and silicone tube was left in place for 12 weeks. Every patient was initially followed up weekly for 1 month, later on monthly for 6 months, and during each visit, patency was confirmed. So coming to results, we studied around 15 patients, and after 6 months, all 14 patients maintained patency. Major complication we came across was tube prolapse, which we repositioned it as an office procedure. The other common complication which we came across was prominent scar, and one was loss of patency. Our success rate is 93.3%. As we all know, DCT is a procedure for primary acquired nasolacrimal duct obstruction with no comorbidities. It is rather unfortunate. Due to secondary distal or common canalicular block, these patients will come to you with epiphora. As in literature, Dowsett and Horwitz described a similar kind of procedure, but in their procedure, they created an anterior and posterior canalicular flap and sutured the nasal mucosal flap into it. Lee J.H. et al. Also performed a similar kind of surgery, but details were not given in the literature. So we came up with a simple procedure. In this, we sutured the nasal mucosal flap and anchored it directly into the remnants of orbicularis in line with the common canalicular opening. Here we didn't create any canalicular flaps. So with this procedure, we were able to re-establish the lacrimal drainage in most of our patients. Limitation of our study was small sample size, lack of long-term follow-up, and it requires minimum of 7 millimeter long canaliculus. So I conclude that this modified canalicular DCR is a simple method in post-DCT patients. It is safe and effective. So I think post-DCT is not the end of the road. Thank you.
Well, nice presentation, Dr. Darren.
Thank you,
I
sir.
have one question to ask. What was the time interval between DCT and your surgery, mean time interval? One. And secondly, there can be two subset of patient post DCT. One where there is pseudo-sac formation. In many of the patient after DCT, we get pseudo-sac formation. And second, those group of patient where there is no pseudo-sac formation. So did you identify your patient according to these two sets?
Yes, sir. In most of the patients came with bothersome tearing. So when we did probing, as we established that there is a soft stop, and then during surgery, whatever sac remnants were there, we removed it, and then we did the surgery. During the surgery, we dissected out whatever the sac remnants were there. Then we continued with the surgery, sir.
And what was the time interval between DCT and your surgery, average time interval?
1 year, sir.
And what about the patients, those who had after dissection, you find a lot of extensive fibrosis at the sac area, which has been removed, extensive fibrosis, will you go ahead with this surgery or leave those patients?
No, sir.
Extensive fibrosis.
If there was extensive fibrosis, we couldn't, we won't be able to.
Gain fibrosis.
Hello, sir. If the patient is having extensive fibrosis, then it will be little difficult, sir. But still, we managed to do the surgery, sir. We did a sharp dissection and followed by application of MMC and intubating with the silicone tube. We were able to maintain the patency, sir. We were able to follow up the patient for 6 months.
Gentle reminder, time is up. Thank you so much.
What is the success rate of your patients? Just one.
Among 50, sir, success rate is around 94%, sir. Like 15 patients we have done. In that, all 14 patients are absolutely normal, sir. Like there is no tearing afterwards. One patient was symptomatically better, but anatomically he was still having little bit of regurgitation, sir.